There's a couple things that stop people from manifesting their reality into existence, and it's oftentimes not at all what they think, because you think that you know what's blocking you until you realize that you have no idea what's blocking you. And the power of this video is going to be that we're bringing conscious awareness to the things that you might not even know are stopping you from manifesting right now. And we're going to be talking about 3 things in this video that might be stopping you from manifesting. 3 things that might be blocking you from creating what you want. And this is going to be the real reason you might not be manifesting things into your life. The actual reason, the truth, the straight up, this is why you might not be manifesting. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you can remove these things out of your life and understand that these are blocks to the manifestation and really take in what I'm about to share with you in this video, you're going to have a much better time manifesting in your life and creating your reality the way that you want to see it happen. So this is going to be the real reason you're not manifesting what you want using the law of attraction. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. So the first reason is that there's too much thinking. Too much thinking. And you might be thinking, well, Francis, but am I supposed to be focusing on what I want though? Because a lot of people teach that you need to focus on what you want and your thinking creates your reality. And yes, that is true. Your thoughts do create your reality. But oftentimes though, the problem is not that you're not thinking enough about what you want to manifest. It's that you're thinking too much about what you don't want to manifest. So we're thinking, I'm abundant, or like I want money, or I want financial abundance, or I am grateful, or I have financial abundance, or I have this, or you're thinking about what you want, you're thinking about the future. But the problem here is that if you're unconsciously thinking about what you don't want to see happen in your life, that's a huge block. That's the real reason you're not manifesting. Seriously, that's the real reason. The real reason you might not be manifesting is because you're thinking too much about what you don't want. And the problem with this truth, and the reason why a lot of people don't want to accept it and reject this thing that I'm sharing with you, is that we don't realize how often we're doing this. When we're in an ego state of consciousness, and this is what it means to live in ego, the ego is having a lack of spaciousness between who you really are and your thoughts. When you're in that space of consciousness, what begins to happen is that actually the ego thinks about more about what it doesn't want than it realizes. And so it's hard to even communicate this truth in this video because most people won't want to hear it. But this is the real reason you're not manifesting, or perhaps why you're not manifesting, because there might be unconscious thinking happening in the background without even realizing that it's happening. So it's not that actually you're consciously thinking about what you don't want, because you wouldn't do that to yourself. You wouldn't consciously create a reality that you don't want to see happen. But when we're living in ego, we unconsciously start to project all these fears and all these things. And it's not even so much that the fears are the problem. The key is that we don't catch the thinking in the process of it happening, and we get lost in the roller coaster ride of our thoughts. And we're doing this all day long, many parts of the day. And then maybe you take 10 minutes out of your day to say, I am grateful. So do you see the problem here? Taking 10 minutes out of your day to say I'm grateful, not taking action on your dream, thinking about all the things you don't want to see happen in your life, living in fear continuously, that is not how you're going to manifest your reality. So the solution, quick solution here, is that if you are willing to admit while watching this video that perhaps you might have too much thinking, whether consciously or unconsciously, whether you're consciously thinking negative thoughts, or maybe you don't even know that you're doing it, the solution is to stop resisting your thoughts. Not to fight your thoughts, but to actually be aware and be that spaciousness that you truly are. Don't be your thoughts, Be the spaciousness. That's who you really are. And that spaciousness can allow the thoughts to just flow by. And then what begins to happen is that actually now the thinking starts to go away. So that's a quick little solution right there. Don't be in the ego state, be in the observation state. And this allows you to actually manifest things very, very quickly because now you're in less resistance. Okay, so the second thing is that you might be focused more on the lack of what you have now versus the abundance that is here now, and the abundance of what you'll have when you manifest what you want. The problem with living in ego is that the ego most of the time is focused on all the negative things going on in your life. It's resisting everything. The ego is almost insane because the ego says, here's this moment right now. We shouldn't be in this moment. We need some other moment in the future in order to be more fulfilled. And that's the state that it's always living in. The ego is always in resistance to what is happening now. And not only is it in resistance to the lack, it's in resistance to the resistance of the lack. It's ridiculously insane. And what's more insane is that when you realize the insanity, you might even judge yourself for the insanity, which is another level of insanity on top of the initial insanity. So the ego is just insanity on top of insanity, on top of judgment, on top of self-criticism, and then self-criticism for self-criticism. And it's a never-ending loop of lack and non-acceptance of what is happening now. So the solution is to allow what comes up in your life and not resist it. If you're focusing on lack and you're conscious of that, it's not so much that focusing on lack is the issue. But the thing is though, what I'm proposing to you is that just to focus on the positives is not enough. Because if you can get out of the ego state of consciousness, you will automatically start focusing on the positives. Because the ego lives from a state of consciousness where actually it assumes there's a dissatisfaction with every moment. Everything shouldn't be happening the way that it is. I need some other moment to be more fulfilled, and this moment isn't good enough. This shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be feeling these emotions. This should be happening in my life, but it's not. It's never grateful for what's happening now. And so imagine if you teach an ego in an ego state of consciousness to focus on the positives. Maybe that's what you're doing right now. Hate to say it. You could be having more ego in your life than you think. Now, if you're attracted to this video, I believe that you have more consciousness than perhaps you did a while ago, or perhaps than other people do on this planet. It doesn't make you better or worse. But if you're attracted to this video, I don't believe in coincidences. You probably have less ego than some people on this planet. And that doesn't make you better. It doesn't make you, oh, I'm better. It's just more awareness that you're not your thoughts. That's it. That's all it is. And that awareness is actually going to allow you to focus more on the positives pretty much automatically because you're transmuting darkness into light, but also consciously if you choose to do so. It's up to you. My take on this, to stop focusing on lack, step out of the ego state of consciousness. Become the observer. And if you still want to focus on the positives, go ahead. But at that point, it's not that you need to necessarily focus on the positives. I'm telling you to stop focusing on lack, period. So it's like, oh, the issue is I'm focusing on lack. What's the solution? To focus on the positives, right? No. Don't even worry about that yet. Don't focus. The solution to the fact that focusing on lack might be stopping your manifestations is not to focus on abundance. It's to stop focusing on lack and become neutral, to accept where you are. And if you still want to focus on the positives after, then go ahead. But my proposal to you is that you'll feel so good you might not even want to, and you'll automatically be radiating light and consciousness, and your thoughts will actually get a lot better as well. And you can choose thoughts that you prefer to feed and nourish and follow, and simply ignore the thoughts that are based on lack. But this empowerment can only come when you detach from your little ego that plays small and focuses only on the negatives most of the time. And the final thing that might be stopping you from manifesting what you want is a lack of trust in yourself. A lack of trust in yourself, in the divine, and in other human beings. Trust is one of the most powerful aspects of being able to manifest things into your life. Trust is one of the most powerful things that you can actually use to create your reality. And hey, surprise, surprise, guess what the ego doesn't have a lot of? Guess what living in the ego state of consciousness doesn't have a lot of? It doesn't have a lot of trust. Because the ego is in fear, is in paranoia, it's attached to the thoughts, it's attached to everything. And that paranoia creates a lack of trust. So of course, if the ego can't trust in itself, how is it going to trust in somebody else? How are you going to trust somebody else if you can't even trust yourself? And also, how are you going to trust yourself if you can't trust somebody else? So sometimes the solution actually is to trust another being first. Trust somebody else first. The ego might be scared, but you have to have courage. You have to have courage to trust somebody. Trust somebody. Trust me in this video. I mean, you don't have to trust me. That sounds horrible. It's like, yeah, trust me. I'm trustworthy. It's like, oh, I don't want to trust you actually. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you could trust somebody else if you feel more comfortable, but you got to trust somebody because the ego has to, like, if you want to have a crack in the ego, it requires sometimes to give our trust away to the divine or somebody. Then you can build that trust within yourself. But it might take a little bit of time to get there sometimes, you know? It's not always something that is super easy to do because the ego is really, really scared, of course. But what I'm proposing to you here is that actually, whatever you can do to build that trust, I don't care if it's trust in yourself as the divine self, I don't care if it's trust in your humanness and your ability to take action, I don't care if it's trust in another human being where they can hold space for you and help you to feel trust that something you want is coming. Somebody that believes in you, a coach, a mentor, a friend, a family member. Sometimes family members don't support people's dreams, but if you have somebody that does, be very grateful for that person, because anybody that in your life that can help you to have more trust because they believe in you, that is a very powerful resource. And so ultimately what I'm sharing this for is to bring consciousness to the fact that if you're not able to manifest something into your life right now, it might be because you have a lack of trust. And so lack of trust is one of the biggest things that might be blocking you. That's one of the real reasons you might not be manifesting. You need to trust in the fact that it's coming and be detached with the fact that you don't know exactly how it's going to happen. And paradoxically, you need to get into an energy of being okay with whatever comes your way, even if it doesn't happen. And this is extremely hard to do, and this is a hard thing to hear when we're in fear and we're attached. It's like, well, Francis, how do I not want this thing? I really want it badly. But if you can step into an energy of trust of, okay, I trust the divine, I trust myself, I accept where I'm at, I'm detached. That energy is not easy to tap into, but if you can tap into that energy somehow, some way, for me, meditation daily works. Watching high vibe content like this works. Whatever you can do to tap into yourself. But I want to give you one final seed that I believe is the ultimate solution to develop deep, powerful trust, which is to have awareness of who you truly are as consciousness. That's the highest level of trust that I believe exists. I believe that the highest level of trust is trust in the self. Self with a capital S. Trust in your divine self. And then letting that divine essence flow through the human vehicle that you are. This is the highest level of trust that I believe is connected with the source. Your true source is what you want to trust in if you really want to manifest the best possible reality for you. You want to be connected to that source, not as a concept. Be directly conscious of who you are as awareness and live from that space. If you can get a glimpse of that, then that's beautiful. But extend those moments in your day where you're totally present and you're totally connected to the essence of who you are, and you're just present with that divineness, with that beingness, with that sense of somehow you exist, but you don't know how you exist. You feel somehow I'm aware prior to thought. Like that sense of I exist, that sense of I'm conscious right now, that sense of the divine intelligence flowing through you at all moments, whether you're aware of it or not. It's not even a sense, it's an awareness that there's something there, quote unquote, in the background beyond anything that comes up in your life. That sense, quote unquote, not quite a sense, but that somethingness, it's not quite a somethingness. Actually, a better word is that nothingness, no thing. It's like, wait, it's nothing. Somethingness is a better word sometimes, because if I say there's something that's aware, it's like, okay, you can start to feel that there's something aware. But if you're conscious, it's actually nothing. It's not a something at all. Now, when I say nothing, the mind starts thinking again. So be careful, because I'm not telling you to understand conceptually there's a somethingness there, but it's not quite a somethingness, because there's like a consciousness to observe the somethingness. That is what I believe true trust and true confidence emanates from. Divine connection to the source of who you truly are is where true confidence comes from. Divine connection to your consciousness and your awareness is confidence that transcends your humanness. If you're attached to this meat suit and you believe that's who you are, that's a very limited form of confidence and limited form of trust. True trust is to know who you truly are and to be completely in alignment with who you truly are and be alignment with the source that emanates through you at all moments, whether you're conscious of it or not. And that's not a belief system. That is something that is there within you. The question is, are you conscious of it? And if you can become conscious of it, you will develop more trust and watch how your manifestations go through the roof when you can learn to develop that deep trust in your divine self and other people and in your lower self. But of course, the more importantly, to conclude this video, who you truly are and the source of who you truly are. And those are the reasons you're not manifesting. And that's the reason that you're not manifesting. That's what you can do to manifest more, is to have that trust, at least for this last point that I'm sharing with you. So that's all I have for this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. As always, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.